Hi, it's Jean Kuhn, and I am so happy today to talk to Deb Frueh. Now, Deb grew up in the Chicago suburbs. She's the second of seven children. Wow, right? And the daughter of Marion Thompson, the founder of La Leche League. That's really interesting. And Clement Thompson, am I correct saying that correctly, Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, good. Leader of a research group that invented the first remote control. That's crazy, right? She began reading tarot professionally in 1986, and Deb has traveled the world helping others on their quests using the guidance of the cards. In 2014, Deborah uh, founded the Worldwide Metaphysical Tribe, an annual gathering of professional metaphysicians and alternative practitioners dedicated to working together and promoting each other in cooperation, not competition. Her newest passion is blending psychic techniques with 21st century brain science to create a form of advanced intuition. She lives in a log cabin in the woods a few hours outside Chicago with her husband. Deb, hi, thanks for being here today.
Hi, thanks for asking.
So let's talk first about. I know quite a few little different things about you, but one of the things that you do first, let's talk about that, is the tarot card reading. I
hmm
know nothing about tarot, so
Okay.
so I'm assuming that most of the people who see this will be tarot card readers. But let's assume that there are a few other people about me, like me, who don't know a darn thing about tarot. Talk to me about tarot and why should someone do that? How to
Well,
read.
let me say this. First of all, the tarot cards are um, set up in such a way that they hit all of the turning points and the important moments in our lives. So it's funny, but I've been reading the cards for 34 years professionally. So when I lay out the cards, I look at a graphic novel. I'm looking at a comic book. It's telling me a story through pictures. And that plus my intuition, because all the years that I've honed that, I actually can see what's going on with you, what you might be missing, what your blind spots might be, and help you make a decision, see around the corner a little bit better, especially when you're at a crossroads.
Oh, that's interesting. So, how did you get into tarot card reading?
Very strange. I was actually preparing to divorce my first husband, and um, I got this huge, deep feeling to go get a deck of tarot cards. Now, mind you, this was so long ago. There was no Barnes and Noble. There was no Amazon. Where do you find a deck of tarot cards?
I
So I
don't know.
was in Evanston and stopped in this quirky little bookstore and said, "Do you have tarot cards?" And they said, "Well, we have two decks." And I said, "Well, which one should I buy?" And they said, "Oh, I don't know, buy this one." So I bought it, and it was a horrible tarot deck. I couldn't read it. I couldn't understand it. For 2 years, I banged my head against the wall until I went to a party. And there was a reader there, and she was out in the room with us. So we were allowed to, listen in. And I stood behind her. And when someone would ask her a question and she would lay out the cards, I knew what she was going to say. And I thought, it's the deck. I have the wrong deck. So I asked her what deck she had, and that's the deck I've read ever since.
How did you know? First of all, how did you even know to read how to read tarot cards?
You have to learn. I mean, it's something
Oh,
you do have to do. It's very,
okay,
very heavily, for me, heavily weighted on my intuition, and
okay.
I sort of learned piecemeal over the course of my life. But I do teach it now in a way that you can get it really quickly because it is a lifelong study.
Well, yeah. Well, when the way you said that you just had this overwhelming feel that you needed to get a deck, and so then you went and bought a deck, and it's like, well, now what do you do with the deck? Do you play Pinochle in your spare time? Because but you must have known, you must have been studying before you decided to buy a deck.
I had never seen a tarot card before this happened. What
Okay, I
happens is
want to know how that happened then.
when you buy a tarot deck, they usually come with a little tiny instruction book.
Okay.
And so I went with the little tiny instruction book, but I couldn't make heads or tails out of it.
Oh, that's funny.
The deck that I read now it's based on Greek mythology. I love Greek mythology, so it's all makes sense to me. There's 4 suits in the deck. They have to do with 4 of the myths. It's like a snapshot of every little part of the story, so you know where your client is. Oh, they're in the part where they win, or they're in the part where it's going to get dicey, that sort of thing.
Where are we at right now in the world in the middle of this Corona crap?
This is going to go on for a long time. This is going to go on till January. Sorry to say.
You know how I feel about that, Deb,
You
right?
know how I feel about
You know how
that?
that I'm a hope and positivity and there we've got it. We'll end this soon, and this is not even a big deal, right? And now it's kind of a big deal, and it's
I had to cancel a giant event over this. I mean, it
yeah.
broke my heart. So
Well,
I know the feeling.
let's talk about you know what you know what Corona did for me? I
But
was a speaker at your event, and now it's
that's
canceled, right?
right.
So
That's right.
let's talk about your event, your Metaphysical Tribe event. First of all, I want to give my impression. I want you to talk about it, right?
Okay.
Because I was invited to be a speaker last year to talk about what I talk about, which is increasing your cash flow.
You did a
And I
great
walk
job.
into this, I didn't know what to expect. I walk into this, some of the nicest people I've ever met, um, and some of the woo-woo-ish people I've ever met. So it was a full day of ahas and amazement on my part. So thank you for inviting me and experiencing that. So now tell me what the Metaphysical a Tribe event is really about.
Well, the Worldwide Metaphysical Tribe started because I live out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh God, yes you do.
And there aren't that many people out here. At least there weren't at the
What is
time
that?
when I first moved here. And it's hard to have friends. So I found a tribe on Meetup, but they're in Lombard. So this is a 2-hour drive for me each way, to hang with my friends, other psychics, right? So I thought one day, I have a giant yard. I have 2 fire pits. I think I'm going to invite everybody over for a picnic. And so that's what we did. We just made a big bonfire and we sat around and did readings for each other. And the Perseid meteor shower was going on overhead. And it was a lovely evening, but something weird happened. It was like people drove 100 miles each way to come to this event. And they kept saying as they were leaving at 11:30 at night, "You're going to do this next year, right?" And I thought, wow, they want to do this again? I thought this was going to be a real hardship for them to drive all the way out and then have to drive all the way back. They loved it. The next year, I hired a professional storyteller, not knowing that he was one of the biggest storytellers in the world. And he told a story. I said, tell a story about fairies. So he told a story about fairies. It took him 5 minutes to tell the story. He was so good, the people in the group thought that it lasted a 30-minute story. It was
Wow.
so engaging. He is just amazing. But one of the psychics in the group stood up when he was finished with his standing ovation and said, Pan, who is the leader of the fairies, has said that if we say his name 3 times, he'll appear. And even now when I tell that story, this was 2015, the hair on my arm stands up. It was a hot, terribly humid day, no breeze. All we really wanted to do secretly was drive home and take a shower. It was just a really miserable day. And I thought, what the heck, I stood up, I led everybody in saying the word Pan 3 times. We dragged it out, and we were standing in front of this big wild space in my backyard, and all the trees are hanging like this, and all the plants are like this. But there was one bush that was shaking at 100 miles an hour, just shaking. People can't go back there. It's a thicket. There's poison ivy. There's thorns. You cannot go back there. And I looked at the group and I said, am I the only one seeing this? And then I knew something was supposed to happen. I just wasn't sure yet what it was. But after the 3rd year, I realized that all of these people were coming to my house to meet each other and to hang out. And what were they doing? They were networking. And so that's how the actual networking event was born.
Oh, that's such a great story.
It
That is
was
such a
fun.
great story. Yeah, I've heard some really great stories from you in our times together that we've had to talk and stuff. So you mentioned here at the beginning of this story about the fact that you're psychic. Is psychic part of being a tarot card reader?
You can read the cards without being psychic per se. There are 101 ways at least to improve your psychic awareness. Anybody can do it, just like anybody can play piano, but we're not all Mozart, right? So um, I would say that, you know, reading the tarot is enhanced by psychic ability, but you can learn psychic ability. So
Oh, interesting. That's very interesting.
that's something that
So,
I teach.
so you know what? I think those who are not part of the metaphysical tribe probably are a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Non-believers, right? Maybe a
Sure.
little bit, right? So I think that you probably come up against that a lot, right?
Yes.
So here's what I want you to tell me your very favorite psychic story.
Oh my goodness, there are so many of them. They happen every single day.
I know, but pick your best. Pick your favorite,
I,
like the one you really tell at parties.
oh my gosh, I tell the story that I just told you at parties. That
All right,
to
well,
me
tell me
is
another story.
the
Okay.
biggest one. Golly, I actually, I've got nothing. I'm going to edit this part out.
Okay. All right. So do you have a bad story? Do you have a story that's maybe not such a happy ending that if you'd like to share it, if you don't want to? Um,
Well, let me say this.
okay.
You know, when people come for a reading, they don't come because everything's great. They come because everything's crap. And
Oh, all right.
right, and so they need
I know. I
help.
don't know. That's
Well,
interesting for
yeah,
me to
they don't
hear.
come for fun. They well, sometimes, but mostly they come because there's something on their heart. There's a problem
Okay.
in the family, a child, whatever. And it's kind of amazing the things that you can see in the cards. Um, one particular day, I was telling this woman, she said, I want to know about my grandson, Louis. And I said, well, I said, Louis, I can see him on a Hot Wheels and he's tearing around the yard and he falls over. And she said, that happened and he tore his liver, using the word tear again. Um, so those kinds of things. And then there's the funny ones. Once a girl said to me, tell me about Hannah. And I said, okay, well, let's see. It looks like Hannah has a problem with her foot, and she's sitting in front of the TV, bored to tears because she can't walk. And she said, Hannah is my dog, and she just had foot surgery, and she sits on the couch all day and watches Animal Planet.
Oh my gosh.
So people can ask me about anything. I will say, if you can put it in a question, the cards will answer. So I've talked to dead people. I talked to a woman once. She didn't tell me her daughter had passed. She said, tell me about my daughter. And I was getting nothing, nothing. But there was someone in the room who was just seemed to be like, didn't want me to say anything. And it was just a weird combination of energies. And when that person stepped out of the room, I did say to her, I said, you know, there's nothing coming through. And as I'm putting the cards back together, I said, oh, she wants me to say you never go to the water anymore. And I was looking at the Queen of Cups whose toes were in the water. And the story sort of just fell in. And the woman said to me, that's my daughter, Cynthia. She passed away, and her favorite thing to do is go to the beach, and we never go anymore. And I
Oh,
said, well, you should, you know. So it's quite interesting, the range of things that can be covered by the tarot. People go, oh, tarot cards, whatever. But there's a depth of connection and of empathy and of help that you can give another person that's really priceless.
wow. When did you realize that you were psychic?
My mother tells me that when I was a child, whenever the phone rang, I would say, "It's grandma," or "It's, so and so." And I always knew who was on the phone. Now, I thought everybody was like me because I was a kid, right? I didn't know the difference. I thought everybody knew who was on the phone. But then as I got older, I started to see that one of the ways you can tell is that there's a lot of synchronicity in your life. Things
Right.
just fall together. Then you know you've got a natural talent. It happens to everybody, but the more it happens, the more natural talent I think you have.
I think it does happen to everybody, and people don't recognize it.
They don't give it the credit
They,
it's due, really.
right. Well, they don't even put it together, right? They don't
Hmm.
even put it together that that is some synchronicity that's going on for them right now, and they can't see it. They're not aware enough to see that.
One of the things that I give away to people who are curious is 3 things that can help you increase your intuition right now. And
I
what,
can we do that? Can we do that?
sure.
All right. So how do you do it?
So
What are the 3 things?
so the 3 things are, I'm going to just pull up the document because I just have it here right
What
now.
was this what you were going to give away today? And am I ruining it?
No, no, it's fine.
Okay,
I
cool.
totally don't mind. And I seem to have closed it, so maybe I can find it, maybe not. But one of the things that you want to do is to suspend judgment on yourself. Just
Okay.
let things be what they are. And in that vein, you have a stream of thoughts that go through your head every day. You're used to them. They're your friends. And then all of a sudden something will pop in and you'll say, "What? Plaid pants? Where did that come from?" And then you'll be reading a book and the main character has plaid pants. It's a synchronicity. It's a way to say, okay, you got it. You get how this goes. The
Mhm.
second thing is deep empathy. First of all, you have to be empathetic to start. Second of all, the more you can say that the other is you, that you have something like that in you, that you can relate to them in their time of horror, the more you can find them in the field of consciousness. And when you find them in the field of consciousness, that's when, if you're reading for them, then you can definitely, you know, help them along. And the last thing is that 3 times a day, either or once a day, either first thing in the morning or last thing at night, you write down 3 things. Just let your mind wander and write down 3 things. The next day, see if those things came into your awareness. Red Corvette, tall building with no windows, that sort of thing. And give yourself a gold star every time you write. And I always say, leave that door open for a week so that you can, sometimes we're not right on the dime with, right now um, we're right on the Monday. I always think of plaid pants.
Mhm.
Um, but basically, give yourself a gold star every time and you'll see how good you really are, which is what people don't understand. They don't take the time to do it. They think it's just a weird thing that they thought of that and then it came up in their lives.
Yeah, and really it isn't, it's really just about being aware of, right? It's being aware of that it's there.
Right.
There's a Pam Grout talks about that in her book E Squared, right? To ask to see
Yes.
something, and then it's amazing how so a group of us did that experiment together. 3 of us, we did that experiment together. I can't remember what everybody else, well, one wanted to see something orange. I can't remember what it was. One wanted to see a boat in I can't remember, purple boat or something in the middle of Arizona, right? And then I wanted to see a priest, right?
Wow.
So what I was aware of is that I was walking, we had a week because we met weekly on the phone. And I was aware of the fact that every time I passed a man, I was looking for his collar. But I was also aware of like that priests don't always wear a collar. So every time I'd walk by a man, I was smiling, right? And I was thinking, I wonder if he's a priest. I'm not saying it out loud, right? But here's how it showed up for me. because I was aware of it. What I was really looking for was a religious man. And how it showed up for me was on a Facebook post. It was in a temple, and it was a religious man dressed in like the orange toga thing,
Sure, sure.
right? So, but I was aware that that was the priest I was looking for, even though it wasn't a Catholic priest, which was what I was thinking of,
Having
right?
awareness like that is the basis of the law of attraction,
Yes.
because you're always looking for that to come to you. So therefore, that's what you see. And another thing that I just wanted to say briefly is that um, people say, oh, well, the psychic told me that I was going to get hit by a car, but I didn't. Well, if a psychic told you you were going to get hit by a car, you're watching out for that. So the psychic was probably right, and you inserted yourself into the multitudes of possible futures and decided that wasn't for you this time.
Oh, that's so funny. Because I was thinking, I don't ever want a psychic to tell me something
Well,
bad.
you know, when I teach people to read, I always tell them, if you see something, you need to say it, but you can never leave anybody in a dark alley. If you do, you should immediately quit the profession, because you have to walk them out to where the light is so that they can see the signposts. Because yes, we do get sick. Yes, accidents happen. But what's the light at the end of the tunnel? What's the good part? You know, show me how to get there. Help me know how I know that I'm on that path.
Mm. I know you teach a lot, right?
Yes.
What
Mhm.
else do you teach besides psychic abilities and tarot?
Well, actually, I teach. I have a mastermind in the morning on Monday mornings for people in the Worldwide Metaphysical Tribe, because we're all practitioners and we all want to stay in business during this time. I also, uh, you asked me what I teach. What I do besides teaching.
No, I was just wondering what other classes you might teach besides
Well,
that.
I teach marketing for metaphysicians and how to charge for your metaphysical services. The reason I teach the second one is because um, we are brainwashed to believe that our talents should be free. And I always say, well, if I had a leak in my roof, I would want the carpenter who feels like it's his gift, that he really understands wood and screws and nails and saws, and he really is going to do the best job. That's the guy I want. The guy whose gift it is to fix the roof.
Right.
So that's his gift. This is my gift. We're given these talents to make our way in the world. And if you buy the line that this is a gift from God and you should not be charging for it, um, I have a few things I want to say to you.
Well, that's really interesting, because as I was milling around at your event last summer, right, in the middle of nowhere, I met a woman. She came up to me to speak to me after I had spoken, and proceeded to tell me that that she really wants to help people, and what she was doing, and but the whatever the conversation was, it led me to ask her, is she making enough money? She goes, oh, I can't charge for what I do. That's a gift, right? I can't, that's a gift. And I'm
No,
like, then you're not doing it right.
you're not
You're
doing it
not doing it
right.
right if you can't charge for it. Either you don't believe in your skills. That's what I believe.
Exactly.
If you cannot charge for it, it's because you don't have the confidence in what you're doing to charge for it.
Well, it can be low self-esteem. It can be buying the brainwashing of society, you know. But I think those things are ending. And, you know, one of the primary
I hope
reasons,
so.
yeah, one of the primary reasons I started the tribe was because I feel that the world is really now coming around to perhaps ask us for our opinion. And
Mhm.
if the curtain goes up and we're all in a knife fight because you're too famous and you'd make too much money and you do it wrong, well, they're never going to come back for another 150 years. So let's get together and find out our common ground and work together to help society, to help the world, to help humanity. that's what we think we're in business for. That's why we think we help other people. So let's put our money where our mouth is and do it.
I love that, right? I love the fact that you're helping women and men um, really realize that there is a value to what they do,
Yes.
right? And there's always an audience for it, right?
Yes.
So, yeah. So I know you had to cancel your tribe meeting this year
Hmm.
due to Corona. Um, what do you have going on in that metaphysical world right now that people should know about? What's going on in your tribe?
Well, besides the mastermind, I am just staying in touch with my people, and it's interesting how many phone calls I get a day now from people who've heard from me through my emails or my Facebook posts. Um, but I am actually planning 2021's event, and I spent quite a bit of time looking for a great venue. I really hope this deal works out because I found a wonderful venue. Um, and I'm expanding it to 4 days, and it's going to be day passes plus full week passes if you want, the full 4 days. So it's going to be
Oh,
quite,
wow, 4 days, because it was
yeah,
one day before.
yeah, it's going to
Good
be
for you.
big. It's going to be one day devoted to a movie that I have. Some of the people in the movie are going to be speakers. So they're going to give a talk about the movie, and then we'll show the movie, and then we'll go outside and skywatch with them. It is the Perseids that at that time. The second day is networking and vendors and breakout sessions and headline talks. But the real big headline talk is the following day, where I have Grant Cameron coming down from uh, Canada. He was supposed to come this year, and he very graciously said that he would come next year. So very, very excited.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Deb, it has been my pleasure to talk to you today. I wish you the most success with the Metaphysical Tribe and all of the other cool things that you're doing right now. And as a psychic, you probably know that everything's going to turn out okay,
It
right?
always does.
It always does. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Jean.
Take care. Bye.